Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sasha, for that. And now, Mark D. Martin, CEO of Martin Consulting, and aviation safety and airworthiness expert, joins us now. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Good evening. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes. So, Mark, firstly, now we are seeing that DGCI has stepped in with a sweeping, inspection directive. So, firstly, I would like to understand that what exactly is this fuel control switch locking feature, and why is its disengagement such a serious concern across this, across these Boeing models?
Now, when it's remarkable how the events have turned on this. 2018, the FAA issued a special airworthiness information bulletin, okay, which is just to notify and advise. Post the incident of what we saw in AI 171 and the AAIB preliminary report, clearly all evidence now suggests that the event that led to AI 171 increasingly is being close to that faulty switch. I'll tell you why this is so significant. It's because the DGCA could have issued an advisory circular, but they did not issue an advisory circular. They have elevated the FAA SAIB to a mandatory modification and inspection. Now, what this means is that every operator in the country who operates the 787 or the 737 with that particular switch has to inspect it and, if required, modify it to the recommended new part in the FAA circular. So this actually, the DGCA has gone 10 steps ahead with a brilliant foresight, outstanding leadership, and they've taken it a whole level notch higher. This it actually indicates that the problem with what happened and what occurred with AI 171 sadly is got to do with the switch, and clearly it is possibly a very likely strong suspect of what really occurred. Now, why is this significant? Because if the DGCA, now remember, the world is watching India right now in this crash. Every regulator is watching India. Every aircraft operator of the 787 is watching India and tracking India. So if India elevates this to a mandatory modification, then tomorrow we're going to see every regulator in every part of the world where the 787 flies would elevate this to a mandatory modification in their own jurisdiction and come out with their own mandatory modification order. So clearly, I think, first up, this step was a surprise. This reinforces and negates and kills all the insane and ridiculous rumors of pilot error, suicide. All this garbage now goes out of the window, and the DGCA taking a step ahead of the AAIB with this mandatory modification is a brilliant step to ensure that at least our fleet with that particular part number is removed and the new part, modified part number is installed so that we don't see a similar incident. So I think it's a brilliant move by the DGCA. And while the world is watching us, clearly there's been enough backlash by everybody on that AAIB preliminary report. And this is a very strong litmus test and an indicator that it's likely that the switch is the likely suspect.
Okay, Mark, and absolutely rightly said that India, I believe, is setting a precedent here with this sort of, inspections and the rulings that they have come out with. Now, also, Mark, now this isn't limited to just one aircraft type. It covers Boeing 737, 757, 767, and also 787. So how big do you see, is the impact for the Indian operators there? And are these planes safe to fly in the interim?
Well, I'll be very honest with you. This part is mostly on the 737 MAX, which is operated by Akasa and Air India Express. It's on the 777. Some 777s have it, and it's on all the 787s. Now, what happens here, and that's a very important question you ask here, is that this and the state and the word you use, precedent. This is a precedent because we're taking a step. We're taking a major step to get rid of that old part. Now, why this is impacting is because if you don't have the part, you're going to have to order the part. And if the DGCA says by July 25th is your deadline, inspect it, let me know, and give me and play back to the regional DGCA office with the new part number, which means that if the part does not come, you're in violation of the DGCA mandatory mod. So you may have to ground the aircraft. So although I would not like to see of the DGCA mandatory mod, so you may have to ground the aircraft. So although I would not like to see any of our aircraft grounded, but if this is true, then operators, if they don't have the part to install, they may have to ground the aircraft. And this will be an impact. And imagine, as you rightly pointed out, this precedent now replicates in the whole world. So this part is going to be extremely high in demand. Like India, other jurisdictions may have to take stringent steps by grounding aircraft till the new recommended part is put. So all in all, I think this is probably one of the most progressive steps by the DGCA to ensure that our aircraft are safe. And this oversight with airworthiness and safety is highly commendable. We've seen incidents and crashes before, and usually the regulator waits for the final investigation report to come out before they react. But this, such a fast reaction from DGCA was obviously not expected. And I think once this inspection gets concluded and affected aircraft where the parts get changed, we will be flying a very safe fleet out there unless something else happens, I don't know. But at least it won't be because of the fuel control switch.
Thank you so much for rightly pointing it out. And also, I'm curious that, can such a technical glitch go unnoticed during regular maintenance checks, or is this like a flaw that demands manufacturer level accountability, Mark?
I think you hit the nail on the head. This part is made by Honeywell. Brilliant observation. And if this part has been on an aircraft for 7-8 years, you can imagine the manufacturing quality where the switch, the lock mechanism actually gets loose. It's never heard of. The 787 is a $200 million aircraft. And you have almost 20,000 parts on the aircraft. But remember, an engineer will only go after something where he's been alerted for. And the FAA you're absolutely spot on. The FAA should have actually brought out an airworthiness directive instead of an advisory circular. So this was an FAA mistake, but I think collectively, we've learned from our mistakes. We unfortunately saw a crash. And this mod, if this happens, then at least thankfully the DGCA has or is now, the world safety mashal with spreading the message that, look, we found the problem and we want you to follow so that your fleet is also as airworthy and safe to fly as ours. So, it's a collectively progressive step. I hope the fleet does not get grounded. I hope also Honeywell can produce the recommended new part in the fastest way possible so that we can convert and transition all the world's aircraft where this part is installed on the 737, or the 777, and the 787. By the way, India does not fly the 757 or the 767, but at least the rest of the aircraft, we can change these parts. And I think rest assured, our aircraft and our airlines take a lot of steps to ensure that we fly safe, and precautions are taken. The DGC is extremely stringent. So are EASA regulations, so are FAA regulations. So I think collectively very, very progressive, and I think most passengers can be assured that their flight this evening and tomorrow morning is safe, and they may have a pleasant flight.
Yes, absolutely, Mark. And thank you so much for being there, on our show and sharing those wise insights there. I'm sure now our viewers who are watching us will not, feel jittery about it. And they now know in detail that what exactly is this inspection all about. So thank you so much for being there on the show with us, Mark.
Thank you so much for having me. Fly safe.
Yes, you too. And viewers, now in the wake of Jane Street fiasco, SEBI chairman convened a high-level internal